Last week, I broke down the checklist for that 100 kilo snatch milestone. Today, we're doing the same thing, but for another big milestone, the 120 kilo clean and jerk, or as we call it in weightlifting terms, 2 slabs of beef. Now here's me having a crack at trying to jerk 120 for the first time, followed by finally cracking it the very next week, but in a full clean and jerk this time. Now, this was a decade ago now. And since that time, I've then added another 25 kilo plate to each side and then some, while also coaching many lifters to surpass this 120 milestone number. So if you're someone chasing those 2 slabs of beef, this is the checklist I'd run through first. Checklist item number 1 is leg strength. Now, if we go to my performance calculator that I've created, which you can access for free at the top of the description below, you can see to clean and jerk roughly 120 kilos. Most lifters will need around the 160 kilogram back squat and somewhere around 140 kilogram front squat. Now, of course, there's always exceptions. Limb length, efficiency in the clean, and general technical skill will shift those numbers. You've probably heard the rule of thumb that whatever you can front squat for 3, you can clean, and whatever you can front squat for 3x3, you can clean and jerk. With example for myself being a lifter with shorter levers, I can front squat my best clean for a set of 7 reps. Whereas another Olympian that I used to train with, who had much longer limbs, was able to clean and jerk his best front squat double. So there is clearly personal differences to factor in here. But for the average lifter, if you're barely front squatting 120 kilograms, let's get that leg strength up before we go clean and jerking it. Now, checklist item number 2 is overhead strength. If you go back to the calculator and take a look at the push press, a 100 kilo push press is usually enough strength to support a 120 kilo jerk. Now, this doesn't come down purely to the arms, of course, being a push press, but it's definitely an exercise that I've focused on in the past that I have found personally to have a high correlation with the split jerk, particularly when it comes to that dip and drive power. You may have also heard of one of those old school rules of thumb that your best jerk should be double your best strict press. But personally, I haven't found that to correlate all that much. If your strict press is extremely weak, then I do see merit in pushing it, particularly earlier in a training cycle or even earlier in your weightlifting career if you don't have much of a background in strength training. But through experience of my own lifting and coaching hundreds of others, I've tended to favor the push press when it comes to building a stronger jerk. Checklist item number 3 is positional strength. Now, this is where a lot of lifters can miss the lift already before the bar even reaches the upper thigh at contact. From the floor to knee, the shoulders should remain over the bar should stay close to the body, and that back angle should remain relatively constant from the floor to knee. If the hips shoot up early or the shoulders track back too quickly, the clean becomes much harder once you reach that power position and you're likely out of balance. A simple test here is being able to perform clean pulls with good positions at roughly 120% of your best clean. Now, as I said earlier, when it comes to the proportions of the lifter, the shorter limb lifter generally will get away with being more efficient here, whereas the longer limb lifter will likely have a surplus of these numbers, sometimes by a large margin. Now, checklist item number 4 is consistency. And just like the snatch, this one is very important. However, in the jerk, particularly the split jerk, we do have a bit more room for error when compared to the snatch, but there's also the factor of needing to clean it first. If you're wasting energy in the clean through an inefficient clean, then that's going to affect the jerk. We want to dial in that clean technically as much as we can to give ourselves the best chance that we can in the jerk. If you're someone that may have a surplus in the jerk when it's on its own, but when you add a clean beforehand, it's a completely different story. I would consider adding in some front squat jerks or even double clean jerks to your program to not only build on this technical efficiency, but also your resilience when it comes to jerking while under fatigue. Now, of course, other factors at play when it comes to a big clean and jerk includes having more exposure to heavier weights and training structure. But if we summarize the main checklist for 120 clean and jerk, most lifters will have strong legs to be able to stand up the clean and still have that energy for the jerk, enough overhead strength and a strong jerk drive to confidently support the jerk, solid positional strength in the pull to be able to keep the bar close and maximize that vertical extension with the legs, and consistency to make those clean and jerks over 100 kilos look and feel repeatable. If you're currently sitting between that 110, 115 kilogram zone for the clean and jerk, chances are you're likely not all that far off. Maybe the clean is heavy because the legs just simply aren't strong enough yet. Or maybe the jerk becomes inconsistent once the weight gets heavier or fatigue starts to set in. Or maybe your positioning and balance in the pull breaks down once that bar passes the knee. Find the link, fix it, and suddenly 2 slabs of beef stops feeling impossible. If you're currently chasing a 120 kilo clean and jerk, comment below what your best is right now and what checklist item you think is holding you back the most. And if you want to see where your lifts could realistically land with your current strength levels, you can check it out with my performance calculator, which is at the top of the description below. And also, if you want to dive deeper into your weightlifting, I'll leave 2 videos up here that YouTube has suggested you may find useful.